Hi everyone, it's Black Admiral here from Legion Kraków from Armada Team Poland. Today I would like to invite you to watch this podcast. That would be the first podcast, first episode of a new series that will happen on our YouTube channel, on the Legion Kraków channel. We are starting with some Armada podcasts here. So after the pretty successful podcast with analysis of Polish Masters lists and just the whole tournament, we decided to run some additional stuff on this channel, to provide some Armada content, and here we go. This is first episode of it. At this stage, hard for me to tell if we will be doing it like weekly or monthly. Rather monthly, because of course many circumstances, but definitely there will be some content from us on this channel. So here we go. And today I would like to speak about two things. I will just discuss two subjects. The first one would be the recent tournament that happened in Denmark, in Copenhagen, which was the Prime Championship tournament. Pretty surprising because of of course the ongoing situation with COVID-19. However, it seems that guys from Denmark managed to organize the Prime Championship tournament, the official one. So this is why I will be speaking about it. That would be the first topic for today. The other one would be the squadron play in the new meta, in the new Clone Wars meta. Let's say in Armada 1.5, as many people are saying. Honestly, I'm not the big fan of this nomenclature, but in slang people are using it pretty usual nowadays. So we can stick to that and consider it as Armada 1.5, because of course the new changes, there will be a lot of new rules. The changes are upcoming to our beloved game. So yes, definitely there is something that we can discuss. Of course, squadron play is the main topic, because many things were released in regards of the squadron play, because we already have some new keywords due to the leak of the cardboard that would be attached to the expansion with starfighters for the Republic and and for the separatists, of course. And we know those new keywords, and we already knew that some old keywords will change. There will be also a different change of squadron play, which is the limit of aces. We already got those news confirmed, unless of course unlike, for example, the new mechanic with pass tokens. We still do not exactly know how it will work, what it will be. So I will speak about that possibly in the other episode. However, now as we have a lot of informations about the squadron play already, we will be able just to refer to that. So those will be two main topics for the first episode of our new series. So here we go. We can start with the Denmark Prime, the Copenhagen Prime. Interesting tournament, because this is, I believe, the only tournament, the only official one. In the rank of the championship. This is the only championship tournament that is being processed during the pandemic situation all over the world. It seems that in Denmark's situation with COVID wasn't very serious. So people managed to organize some tournaments, and I believe this is the tournament that was planned to be, originally initially was meant to be played on March. However, due to the first wave of COVID, it was postponed, and they managed to organize it here. Now in October. So that was the recent previous Saturday, 24th of October, and we know that, as I said, most likely this is the last Prime Championship all over the world from the still the previous season, of course. So official prize support and just official championship rank event. We were focusing on this because, first of all, as I said, there is not many things that are happening all over the world. Of course, in organized play, in the competitive play of Armada. So this is something that might be rather interesting, a bit more than some local tournaments, whatever. But anyway, this is the first thing. The other case is that we were planning to attend this tournament, but unfortunately, Denmark locked the flights, the option of flights from Poland just in the last minute before the tournament. So the Friday before the tournament, and we did not manage to go there and participate. But I seen the relations of the players, the reviews of the players. Sorry. And they were saying that that was a good tournament. I seen some pictures, seemed to be very, very fine. So what we know is that 16 players was the attendance, so pretty okay. I mean, of course, considering all the circumstances, that was a pretty good attendance. I think even more people were signed up, so like over 20, I think. But on the day of the tournament, only the 16 players appeared to participate. So it seems that they were playing 4 rounds of Swiss. After which, of course, the guy on the first place was just the champion. And I will speak a bit about the top 4 lists. I will just analyze them today and share my thoughts about what was happening here. So we can start with the first list. So the list of the player that managed to finish at the spot number 4. Which name was Jacob. He gathered 26 victory points during the whole tournament, and here goes his list. So what we can see here is that this is kind of surprise, I would say, because we have the Admiral Radis in here in command. So this is the guy we did not see for quite some time. I mean, of course, due to that nerf from the beginning of the year, when the rules for Admiral Radis changed a bit, and he basically he was just nerfed. I mean, that some people are saying that that was just a change, but as I've been playing for quite some time with this commander, and I know him pretty well. I would definitely say that was the nerf, because it's limiting your options only to the flagship. You're not able to have the safe lifeboat for your Admiral. You just need to just throw your flagship towards the enemy fleet, and then use it as the spotter for the most likely the big ship coming out of hyperspace. So definitely that was rather a nerf. I would say that you cannot use the CR90 anymore for it, and this is the case here. So maybe a quick reminder about the Admiral Radus. Once it came out in 2018, it was pretty popular, especially in US. It managed to won the nationals there, the North American Championship, I believe, and made the top 4 at Worlds, I guess. So pretty popular one. In Europe it was also rather popular. In UK it managed to be in the final of Europeans in 2018, but after that it seems that people figured out the best ways to deal with the Admiral Radus, and they just the amount of players using that Admiral just decreased. Maybe they started playing something else like the dual ship, because back in 2019 at the beginning, especially during the regional season, the dual ship was the list, which was very popular. What's interesting, the Radus was a pretty good counter for it, but as I said, there were rather not a lot of Admiral Raduses. Since then I ain't seen many of it. Only the ones that I know were the best spots for Radus in the meta was like top 4 Europeans, 2 lists in the top 4. So that was, I believe, the best achievement of Radus that year. But in 2020, of course, we did not have many big competitions, big events, like there were no Worlds, no Europeans, but anyway, it seems that Admiral Radus lost his position in the meta. His position is now questionable, I would say. So it's very surprising, and it's very fine that someone used it here. I'm glad to see it there. So let's focus on the list. So we have the list for 384 points, so 16 points of bid, meaning that most likely that Jacob is just trying to to bid for the first player. I would assume he's bidding for the first player, and this is a very specific build. I can see that he's using the Profundity as a flagship. After the nerf, I was considering a few ways of approaching Radus in this new situation, and generally you have 2 options. First one is that you're bringing the flagship, which is very resilient, like Admonition or Liberty with the engine tax. I mean, this one maybe not that resilient, but generally it's a big ship. The big spotter, pretty fast. So this is the one way of dealing the Admiral Radus nowadays. The other one is just bringing the Profundity and using the combo that used to be used for Radus back in the days, but in a different way, because before that you were dropping the Profundity out of hyperspace and then dropping the small ship, like mostly Hammerhead. In this situation you're using the Profundity to drop the small ship and then drop the Admiral, the commander, on this small ship, and then just position your main big ship from the hyperspace using that small ship, so the new flagship, as a spotter. However, here it seems that he's approaching it even a bit differently, because he has the Shreve Surgath on the Hammerhead torpedo corvette. So I assume that he's not very often, he's not pretty regularly using this Hammerhead as the as the new flagship. He's not dropping the Admiral there, but he's most likely trying to his strategy must be something that he's trying to create a kill box for the opponent big ship. I'm assuming that the Denmark meta is focused on the big ships, because there were many lists created to destroy the big ships. And as we can see, it's not very strong. There is not very strong squadron component, so most likely they are just bringing the big toys to the table. And this list is very good at killing it. However, of course, there might be some exceptions. I would definitely say that most likely the Gergerat lists are pretty, maybe not pretty safe, but those are the lists that generally can avoid such lists, because as you can see, this one is just focused entirely on the close range attacks, and as I was saying, it seems that this Hammerhead is just one of the two ships that are being dropped from exactly the same dropship, which is sorry, the spotter ship, which is the Profundity itself. So very interesting tactic, I would say. Also, it's giving him flexibility, because he can as well, do that trick that I was mentioning before. So drop the Radus on the Hammerhead and then just drop the other MC75 from it, which is also very fine. So if we'll take a look at those sharks, those 75s, pretty classic ones, with the Ordnance Experts, Assault, so APTs, of course, external racks, and the other stuff like that. So as I was saying, pretty classic build for those two ships. And as I was saying, the Hammerhead, however, with Shrifsurgaff, that is occupying that slot for the Ordnance Expert, so most likely that's why he's not adding the external racks. However, with the bid of 16 points, I would possibly add those two black dice to that Hammerhead, but it might not be necessary. So yeah, we can see that he has the GR75s as well, so Hondo, and the other one naked. So he's definitely trying to keep the bid, because he doesn't have any consnet, anything like this. And he also has the screen of squadrons, pretty small one. I mean, 4 squadrons, which are Z95s, so the cheapest ones in the game. It's, if it faces the squadron builds, it will be additional 28 points for the opponent for sure. However, of course, they are able to slow down the opponent a bit, so it's reasonable to put it there, and I can't hate it. It's pretty okay to have it here. So nice list. Good to see Radus maybe a bit back in the game. I like the idea, of course, as I was saying, like the Gergerats, some kind of rogues lists, MSU lists, those Sloans with running carriers. Those are the lists that are most likely willing to handle this list pretty good. However, of course, it's still pretty powerful. Well played, can be a very dangerous tool. So good to see that. Let's take a look at the objectives, because this might be the something strange about them, but most likely most wanted is not one of those strange things. It's pretty obvious choice for such lists where you have a lot of shapes that are making some punch. The Solar Corona as well. When you're dropping the ships from the hyperspace, you're just not caring about that accuracy being triggered. Of course, you're most likely dropping in the other way. You get the full control over it. So it's good to see where your opponent is setting his forces. However, the fleet ambush is the one that I'm questioning a bit, because against certain fleets it might be a good choice, but sometimes it might be it might create the chance for advantage for your opponent. For example, like the squadron lists, where you're able to put the ship in that ambush zone and then deploy the squadrons. You're not really suffering from it. because for example it's flotilla, you can escape with it. However, you're just, you know, who is being ambushed in this situation, we can ask. So possibly there were some better choices, but if it works perfect for him, then of course it's good that he's making a good use of it. Possibly this is some kind of a local meta call, therefore it's nice to see that someone is using that pretty rare objective, and it's appreciated. Very, very nice to see the Radus back in the game again. So okay, let's proceed to the list from the spot number 3. So Thomas Hogard. So this is the player that I know already. I mean, he's one of the best European players. Thomas managed to be in the top 8 at recent European Championships. I believe he's also reigning Nordics champion, like 2 years in a row, I would say. I think he just defended the title in 2019, I believe. So he's the reigning one, and most likely he's one of the, well, possibly he's the best player in Denmark, because he usually is being placed at the strict top. He's here he finished at the 3rd place with 28 points out of 40. However, the case is that Thomas dropped from the last round, possibly due to some private reasons. However, that means that during the 3 games he managed to score those 28 points. So well, you know, if he would have stayed for the last round, you know, a draw or small loss could have gave him the champion title, I think. And you know, when you're gathering 28 points out of 30, that means it's pretty decent performance, I would say. So definitely Thomas is one of the best players from Denmark, for sure. And his list is very interesting as well. It's a gate list based on MCET command cruiser Yavaris, 2 flotillas, and just full squadron ball. What I like about this list is that after the Krista Gate came out, I was just thinking about something similar, and I created similar list because well, Yavaris was out of play due to some certain builds on SSDs, and generally due to the SSD and Starhawk, because that was very tough for Yavaris to deal with those ships. However, this certain build, which is having also a big ship among the whole pieces in this list, is able to handle the Starhawk, is able to handle the SSD. So that's why it's good. You know, possibly on the previous podcast with the Polish Masters analysis, I was just mentioning about the thing that nowadays in meta, of course with few exceptions, but in general you have to get pretty strong squadrons and pretty strong ships simultaneously in your list. So that was the point here. And you know, Yavaris lists were usually focused only on carriers, so like plus Gale and the Yavaris plus Gale and Heaven, which was protecting the squads. So all in squads, like in that Imperial MSU Sloan list, which is one of those mentioned exceptions, because there are not many fleets that are working like this anymore, because you need to have a lot of firepower, you know, among your ships and also between your squads. But this is one of the list examples that is having pretty heavily loaded ship, the big ship, and the Yavaris, and due to a gate, which is a very cheap commander, that MC80 is just getting much better. It's able to handle more punches from the outside, from different lists focused mostly on the ships, for example. And Yavaris is doing the pretty usual Yavaris things with those squadrons. Interesting thing is that he's not having many double dice bombers here. He only has the gold squadron. But if we'll take a look at those squadrons, they are very good at dealing with the other squads. So you have 3 escorts, Wedge, Biggs, and 2 X-Wings. So Biggs juggling this damage between those X-Wings means that he's keeping it in the game, and he still has a lot of firepower to fight enemy squadrons, because the X-Wings are just having the 4 dice against them. Also Dutch, it's a classic anti-squadron tool. Nora is pretty okay. Generals is also pretty okay. So, and it's supporting the opponents. The friendly squadrons. So very tough build. He doesn't even need the tandem, which was usually being played with Yavaris, or anything like this. And if it comes to destroying ships, he's just killing those shields on those ships due to Nora, and the X-Wings are working pretty well on it, on this list with Nora, because they have like 3 results on those red dice that are very satisfying. So double, of course, plus those crits that are taking the shields off. So it's nice to see it here. MC-80 is a pretty classic one, so Defiance, Quad Battery Turrets, Leading Shots, ECMs, Fighter Coordination Team, Strategic Advisor, Kirsta Gate, and the boosted comms. So he has the boosted comms here. I prefer playing with VCXs and focusing on the objective play when I'm playing with the MC-80 Pickle, but it's also a good approach here. He has the boosted comms, so this is a carrier actually. And those flotillas are just supporting. So he has Comsnet, Bright Hope with Bomber Command Center, and classic Yavaris with Flight Commander. Interesting thing is that he doesn't have the Torrenfar here, but he's rolling a lot of dice, so he can handle that. But the Bomber Command Center is much more important in this particular build, so it's totally understandable that he's he's choosing it over the Torrenfar. The other thing is that he doesn't have the Adar Talon, which is pretty, it's still pretty good, especially with Yavaris. It's still the same combo, but with Fighter Coordination Team, he's just able to push those squads a bit. So most likely he just do not need that Adar Talon that much. So very strong list. Strong objectives, most wanted, planetary ion cannon, and superior positions. So of course superior position is a classic one, plus most wanted also a decent choice for that list. Possibly the precision strike could have been better, or maybe not. Most wanted is the one with which you're not risking that much. So the only one questionable is the planetary ion cannon. I would say that he's not choosing the fighter ambush because he doesn't want to be out deployed by the opponent. Most likely due to that MC-80 Pickle, he just wants to put it in a pretty good spot. So for example, the opponent could not run from it because it's only the speed 2. Or just to place it pretty good against Onager, while with fighter ambush, of course, you will not have that flexibility, and you can be out deployed. So he's having planetary ion cannon, possibly also due to the local meta, which is having a lot of big ships. Possibly, I'm guessing, because maybe there are the better choices, but it seems that it works for him pretty well. It's a good very versatile, very versatile objective. So it's nice to see it here. Of course, morale list can be can have the benefit from it, but definitely, it's hard to predict that someone with this list, someone who has this list, has the planetary ion cannon as one of the objectives. So most likely it's being second, or possibly it's just not playable there. But anyway, very nice list. I like it a lot. It's you can see that Thomas is a very good player looking at that list. So yes, I appreciate it. I appreciate to see it. Okay, let's focus on the top 2 then. We can see that spot 2. So the runner-up on the tournament was the Nicolo. He gathered 30 points, 30 victory points during the tournament, so 75% of the whole pool of the points. So pretty good result, and he had very good MOV, because if he would have got one more victory point, he would have been the champion, because he would be better placed with his MOV higher than the guy who won the whole tournament. But it seems that he was missing that 1 point, and nevertheless, this list is very cool, to be honest, because it's Admiral Radus again. If we take a look at it, it's Admiral Radus on Starhawk. So this is something big, because usually if you're seeing Starhawk, the default commander for it is of course a gate. Of course there were some exceptions, like for example in the US, some primes were taken by the Starhawk with the Garmbel Iblis, but that was Schmidt playing those lists, so pretty good player, and you're rather choosing the gate for the Starhawk. However, here you have a very special combo with Admiral Radus dropping the MC-75 Ordnance Cruiser out of hyperspace. Interesting thing is that he's having no squads, and he's going all into the ships, and the big ships, I would say, because of the very good combo. If you'll take a look at the Starhawk build, so he has the Expert Shield Tech, Strategic Advisor, Cam Syndulla plus Ion Cannon batteries. This is very interesting. This is one of the upgrades that you're not seeing on the table very usually. To be honest, I've never seen it on the table. But in this combo, it's very good. I will go to that. I will just proceed to that. Just give me one moment. I will finish with the Starhawk build. He has additionally linked turbolaser towers, Magnites, and Concord title. So it seems that he's using the combo of Cam Syndulla and Ion Cannon batteries to make sure that his opponent will not have the nav token and nav command, because Cam is just killing all those dials on the opponent's ship, and Ion Cannon batteries are just throwing out the tokens from the opponent's ships. So he's trying to put the other ship, the opponent's ship, on the speed 0 with those Magnites and Concord, and then this is very interesting. He's just removing all the possibilities. Only possibility to jump for the higher speed is the entrapment formation, but it's not that it's not a very popular upgrade. So well, this one is very good. And he's dropping the MC-75 Ordnance Cruiser with the Match Control Officer, Ordnance Experts, Electronic Countermeasures, and expanded launchers and APTs. So the curious thing here is the expanded launchers. However, if he is dropping the opponent's ship to speed 0, possibly you're just able to to use those expanded launchers more than once in a game, which makes it more useful than external racks. However, this is the question: how many times is he able to to use those expanded launchers? Because in general, this is upgrade which is much much more expensive than the external racks. Of course, external racks are just exhaustible. I mean, you need to discard them. However, you're usually using it like once in a game. In here, it seems that this list is created to kill this the SSD, the Starhawk, very fast, because, as I was saying, he's just dropping it down to speed 0 and then putting all damage from those two big ships on the opponent big ship, on the big target. He's having two Kampfnets here on the GR75s, so he doesn't want to have Hando to make sure that his opponent will not get any tokens additionally. For example, the nav, because the one of those tokens so that he would need to take would have been the nav. He just would have need to take it. And he also has the Ezra, which is supporting his objectives like Contested Outpost and Doomed Station, but also the Ezra, if he's a first player with the bid of 9 points, he is likely to be the first player in many games. Ezra is the very underrated upgrade, which really can mess up the things for your opponent if played well, because many players are using the objectives based on obstacles. So Ezra is a natural counter for it, and it's very good. Being able to just throw out the contested outpost occupied by some big ship of your opponent can be very very decisive in the game. You're just earning, I don't know, like just 40 points, 60 points because of that move, and he costs only 3, so it's definitely worth to put it to invite him to the party. Of course, in the situation where you have the free officer spot. Yeah, so he doesn't have anything against squads. Interesting thing about his list is that for his MC75 he's not using Lando but the match control officer, so he's trying to make an advantage of those all those rather poor defense tokens that MC75 has, because two contains, everyone would prefer that other redirect or brace or whatever, but not the contain. But he's trying to make the advantage of it, just making sure that none of the opponent's crits will be resolved because of those two defense tokens that are usually just not useful. So good to see that. Interesting thing. The one questionable thing for me in this list is expert shield tech on the Starhawk. You're not having the unity here, you're not having a gate to add the additional redirect, so you're just reducing the damage by 1, and then possibly, of course, if you're discarding that redirect, you're just removing just 2 damage, reducing 2 damage per round, and only once in the game, of course. I believe the Lando would be much better, possibly some other choices. Expert shield tech, it's pretty okay for the Starhawk if you have the unity and a gate, so the option to add the third redirect, this is a very good combo. But here I'm not a big fan of this upgrade on this particular list, but those other components in that list are well, they are just beautiful. I would love to see how that combo works. Of course, as I was saying, there's many counters for it, possibly also the Gergeras, like in the previous Radus list case, possibly MSUs, some rogues, some other ships, some other squadrons lists, but in the meta of the big ships, this is definitely a good one, and just fun to play, fun combo to play. And well deserved. Glad to see additional riders in the top 4, so 2 of them, very good result. Top 2, it's a great achievement. as I was mentioning, those objectives in that list. So the most wanted, contested outpost, and doomed station. So doomed station, contested outpost, pretty clear with that Ezra, very powerful ones. And most wanted also a pretty decent one. So good to see that. Chapeau bas for this. Okay, let's proceed to the list number 1. So the winner. And the winner is Jens, the player whose name is Jens. He managed to gather 31 points. He scored 31 points during those 4 rounds. So just barely above Nico, but fortunately he was able to. Fortunately for him, of course, he was able to reach the top and won the whole tournament. He's using the list with no. He was using the list with no bid, almost no bid, just 1 point. And interesting thing is that he was using the Imperial list, so only Imperial list in the whole top 4, and also 4 ships. Interesting. I'm very curious if I'm wondering if those players. I mean, Nicolo, the guy who took the 2nd place, was playing against Jens, and what was the result, because both guys were using only the lists with 4 ships, no squadrons. So very interesting to see that. It's not happening that often. I mean, you're seeing the battles, the matchups where only the no squadron ship, just full ship. All ship lists are facing each other, but here only 4 of them. The previous one was Radus, so one in hyperspace. Those guys are just starting the game with 3 ships on the table. And why? Because one of his defense objective for this list is hyperspace assault, which I will speak about it a bit later, because first I need to review those ships, but most likely this is the one that he's playing usually when being a 2nd player. But okay, let's focus on the ships first. So it's also 2 big ships, 2 big ship lists, and it's also similar to the Nicolo list, because he's having 2 big ships. And one of those big ships is just the recent addition. So here we have the Onager. In the previous list there was a Starhawk. Yes, so let's see. The flagship is with Mauve Gergerod. I appreciate that, for this list he took the Gergerod, which is very, very good. One of the best admirals in the game. People usually for such dual ship lists, I mean dual big ships, big ship lists are usually taken like Mari, because it's it's a good economy adding those whole to your ships, but it's not that it's not as good as Gergerod. It's not that fine as Gergerod. I like it, appreciate it. Appreciate the fact that people are playing the JJ. So he has the Gergerod on ISD2, the Krennic, Gunnery Team, ECM's leading shots and spinal armament. So pretty normal build for ISD2. Interesting to see the Krennic. Usually it's like strategic advisor, but here there is the other big shape. So definitely a good choice for this one is the director Krennic himself. So he has the spinals, so a combo with Krennic, of course, and then we have the classic upgrades like gunnery teams, ECM's leading shots. So pretty strong ISD2, and he is just accompanied by an Onager test bed, very cheap ship. Look at this. 119 points for Onager with strategic advisor, veteran gunners and ordnance experts, so double reroll. Of course, particle cannons and cataclysm, so the pretty classic one. So yes, veteran gunners and ordnance experts is a nice combo, because if your red dice are rolling, pretty poor, you're able to, afford you can just afford re-rolling all of dice, because if you re-roll all of them and the black dice will be just a bit worse than they was, you can still re-roll it with ordnance experts. So this is a pretty good combo. Nice to see it, and it's very efficient. So that Onager, for such a cheap ship like 120, not even that, it's it's dealing the decent amount of damage. So a good one. So we have two big powerful ships, and additionally we got a Gladiator 1 the classic ship of the Empire with ordnance experts, APTs and Demolisher. Interesting that he is not having the Bronson here. Also he's missing the engine techs, but possibly he doesn't need that. Okay, so the fourth ship here is just Gazanti cruisers with Hondo and Comsnet, so the classic Gazanti for support, to support the big ships. If we'll take a look at those objectives, so most wanted, of course, good choice for those big ships, for all those three ships that are dealing some serious damage. Hyperspace Assault, Solar Corona. So Solar Corona, of course, you don't want to be setting up first against Onager. So most likely, this is why he's most likely playing Hyperspace Assault on a daily basis, because it's just possibly the easiest one of this objectives component. Most wanted is very tough, and it's possibly adding him some additional points. Solar Corona, as I was saying, Onager is having a really good approach with the Solar Corona. So Hyperspace Assault for the Gladiator. So he's just, that's most likely why he doesn't need Bronson and engine techs, because he will be most likely where he wants to be, and he can drop him in a pretty safe spot, so not risking that much, which means that Bronson might not be necessary here. Very nice list, very specific, but he managed to win the Prime Championship, so he's definitely a good player, and this list definitely works for him pretty well. So I'm glad to see a lot of the big variation of the list in the top four, and good to see some new things, and for sure Admiral riders after some time, so nice to see that. Therefore, thanks for sharing those lists, guys. If you're watching us, I believe at least some of you are watching it. Thank you for this. Thank you that we were able to discuss it here, and well, hopefully we'll be able to see each other on a different occasion. So once again, thanks for that, and well, we can move towards the second part of the podcast today. So let me switch it off. I will be speaking now about potential changes in the squadron play when the new rules and new expansions will hit the game. We already knew a lot of things. Of course, we still don't know all of them, and this is one big game. So the ship game, ship battles can of course influence the squadron game a lot. However, that's why it won't be 100% accurate. Of course, I will be speculating a lot, but basing on the information that we already have, we are just able to already say a lot of things about those new things, new stuff that will be happening in Armada. So So here we go. Yeah, I would like to start with the new keywords for the Republic and for the Separatists. So there was the leak from the German, I believe from German Asmodee, because they shared the cardboards from the expansions, and here we go. This is what we can see. I will not be translating that. I'm not very good at German. However, we already know the meaning of those keywords, so I will discuss it a bit. Of course, if someone knows the German language pretty well, can decipher it by himself, possibly even more precisely than I will do that. But I will try to be accurate about them. So the top one is from the Separatist cardboard, and the other one is from the Republic pack. So we see that some of the keywords will be rather connected with one of those two sides of Clone Wars conflict. And yes, here we go. So the first keyword, the one at the top, is just the one that was already translated to English. I mean, it appeared on the video released by FFG when the Clone Wars were announced. So this is AI, I believe, anti-fighter, and some kind of barrage, anti-ship barrage, something like this. So this is one of those. This is one of those new mechanics. It's basically adding the one die of the to the attack pool, of course, of the color that already is in the attack pool, to the attacks against squadrons or ships, when we're speaking about bombers, I believe. So interesting new mechanic. It's adding, of course, the only requirement is that you need to be actually activated by the squadron command, so by the ship, meaning that most likely there will be no rogue squadrons at this stage with those keywords. It would be interesting combination, but what I believe FFG was trying to do here is just to to reflect the how the droid army, because this is for the Separatists, how the droid army was working. Because as droids, they were just coordinated by the groups were coordinated by some kind of the commanders, and everything was integrated. So I believe this is what the FFG is trying to reflect here. So when they are activated by that command by the ship, they are just able to work more efficiently than they used to when they are just scattered and without the carrier nearby. So this is what they were trying to do. As I was saying, usually those squads will be just activated. You're usually activating the squads for the purpose of attack, of course, during the ship phase, using the command squadron. So it will, you can just treat those squads as they already have this additional die. Of course, there will be situations on the table in which you will have the squadron bubble and the enemy ship going through this, because, for example, he destroyed your carrier. So it's nice to see that the Separatist will be, will not have that strong punch against it because they lost that coordinator, that carrier. It's good to see such mechanic, but still they will be rolling some dice. They will not be that efficient. So I like the idea. It seems to be well designed. I believe the cost of those squads is just let's say containing. It's just the value of those squadrons is like they already have that one additional die in the attack pool. So it would be good to see something new, something like this. Okay, moving on to the next keyword. it's a dodge, I believe, and dodge works well. It forces your opponent to reroll one die chosen by you when he's attacking your squadron. So if you're the defender, you can just ask your opponent to reroll one die that he has already he already rolled. I believe it's happening on the spend defense tokens step. So it's interesting new mechanic. But there is one thing, because there is very similar ability of the new keyword as well, which is adept, and it works similarly, but when you're attacking the opponent's ship. This is the one from the lower table, but the one on the top of it is the one that is allowing you to reroll the die or the dice when you're attacking your opponent. Up to the value, of course, printed on the card. So something just a bit better than Swarm. However, those two abilities are working very similarly. Of course, the timing is different. However, I got one. I'm afraid a bit that those abilities will actually make the squadron game will be the time of the squadron game will be extended, because nowadays you have some modifiers, like for example Torrenfar or the Voldar in Empire is just allowing you to reroll the single dice, or you have Swarm, so any similar things are already existing, but of course, if you will have another kind of reroll possibility, if it will be possible to make some kind of combo with it. I mean, if there will be some kind of upgrades like Torrenfar for the Republic, for example, it may be a bit problematic, because you will be able to roll when you're attacking the opponent's squadron, for example. You will be able just to make your initial roll. Then you will be considering which dice to reroll, which defense tokens you can block on the defending ship. Then you will be rerolling one die, looking if it's okay for you, then another die, and it would be taking ages. This is the real threat, I would say, for the Squadron game. It might not be like that, who knows, maybe it won't be stacking with any other modifier that will be released. Maybe there will be no modifier on the upgrade like Torrenfar in Rebel Alliance. Maybe there will be no such card in the Republic, but who knows. At this stage it potentially might be causing such trouble, so we don't know at this stage, but I'm just a bit skeptical about it. We'll see in time when more things will be released, when it will actually come to play with those new squadrons. However, it's okay, it's fine that there are some new solutions in Armada, and especially that they will be firstly assigned only to those new factions. Okay, so going further, we have for example the old keywords, actually, like grit and intel here, but the intel has been changed a bit. I will speak a bit about it later, because this is actually a very important change in a Squadron game, so I will skip those. I will skip this for now. What I can see, the other keyword is strategic. So it seems that one of the separatists, at least one of those separatist squadrons, will have strategic, most likely those Balubabs. I believe even it has been mentioned on one of the streams, possibly already. I don't know, or it's just my fault, I don't know. There was a lot of informations already, so I get one big mess in my head in regards of it. However, as I was saying, this is that would be on one of those separatists new squadrons, so interesting. Same thing with snipe. I can see there is also a snipe on the list, so good to see that new new squadrons, new components of the game. Will also have some old mechanics that were not pretty popular, because actually, you know, Snipe was like on Saber Squadron and E-Wings, I believe, Cornhorn, but that's it, I think. So it's good to see that, you know, the old mechanics that were not that popular will be expanded in the new additions, new expansions. The other thing on the list is the new ability that I will not translate it, of course, but seems to be something like a guardian. Let's say it, you know, let's say it's some kind of a guardian ability that allows, when you're defending against the squadron that is engaged with your other squads, you're just getting dodge with the value, you know, corresponding with the amount of those friendly starfighters engaged with that attacking squadron. So, for example, if you're defending against the squadron that is having that is engaged also with other 2 squadrons of yours, then you're getting dodge 2, and it's up to value 3. So that kind of squadron will be very tough to kill, I would say. So most likely this will be one of the squadrons that is, you know, going out of the table at the end of the squadron play, like it used to be with, for example, VCXs, Jandon, because, you know, there were just better targets during the squadron battle. Those squadrons were just, you know, they've been killed at the end of the engagement usually, or even sometimes completely ignored, as they were heavy. We'll see. Interesting mechanic. Depends on how strong those squadrons will be, because if this keyword will be assigned to one of the very powerful squadrons, and for example the one that is granting some benefits to other squadrons of yours, that would be very powerful combo, because if you'll be going at the end, if you'll be just getting killed at the end, then it means that opponent must have fight your other squads before, so you were able to make it till the end. We'll see. So far, I believe it was also mentioned on one of the streams that it will be most likely on one of the Balubabs as well. Most likely the Grievous. If we'll take a look at the fluff, it would be okay, because he was a commander of the droid army. So some kind of a guardian ability is pretty decent on him. Sounds to be just good and climatic. Okay, so taking a look at the lower table, so we had that adapt ability that is allowing you to reroll the dice when you're attacking. Then you have the dodge as well. Then there is a grid, there is intel, and one last new keyword that seems to be only for just reserved for the fighters of Republic, which is some kind of the infiltrate, something like this. If you'll take a look at the icon, it's very similar to those hyperspace rings of the Delta 7 Ether sprites. So I would assume that this keyword will be on some of the named deltas. I don't think it's definitely not on the generic one, so I believe it might be on one of those Jedis that are coming out. Interesting one. Depends, of course, how many squadrons will be able to have it, because if it will be on a generic squadron, that it might be powerful. It allows you to deploy your squadrons outside the range 5, the distance 5 of the opponent's squadrons. So pretty good one, because you're just it's like you're coming out of hyperspace very close to the opponent. It's similar, maybe not very similar, but something like in fighter ambush, because you're just able to place your your squads a bit further, and it seems to be happening here. As I was saying, depends how many deltas will have that ability, but you know, if just like a single one or two of them, I don't think it would be very decisive. Maybe, depends on, of course, the matchup circumstances, the new additions to the game. You know, hard for me to say at this stage, but interesting one. I like the concept, so I'm pretty excited about that one. Okay, so as I was mentioning before, I just skipped the intel and the grid here. Because this is something that I would like to discuss a bit, you know, in a bit wider perspective. So yes, so we can just move towards that, because the intel, I just prepared some graphic some table for the intel case. So what we have here is the intel change. Who are the potential gainers and potential losers of the intel change? First, I would like to describe what is going to happen. I believe most of you just heard about that change, but if someone didn't, then, well, Intel was granting the heavy to the opponent squadrons within this, not within, but at distance 1. But now the Intel will not be giving that anymore. It will affect your friendly squadrons. So the squadrons at range 1 will get grid. This is a big difference because, of course, you know, the Intel was something that was allowing you, you know, that was kind of insurance that in the crucial moment you will be able to use just to move your main pieces, you know, just, you know, when they are engaged. But now, you know, reducing it only to grid, which was not, you know, the top, not the top ability among the squadrons. It was useful. Many good squadrons have grid, but it was never, I mean, sometimes it might have been, but it was rather not decisive. But here it will be the, you know, the only options to, you know, get out of the engagement. But if you'll be engaged by more than one squadron, it would be just not possible to escape, unless you're Tycho, of course. But here, this is the big change because, you know, back in the days, you sometimes were able to ignore the opposing squadrons and just, you know, punch the opponent ships. Now it will change. Now everything will change. So the completely new feel of the Squadron game will be introduced to the game because, you know, the whole Squadron game will change. Who are the potential gainers of this and potential losers of this situation? So looking at what we have here right now is that I would say that squads that have the grid already, so mostly rogues, many of rogues already have, like, you know, Han or Lando, just Falcons, of course. Moralo has it, you know, Marek still has the grid. They will be gainers just automatically because now Intel will be granting the grid, but those squadrons already have the grid. So, you know, their value is just, you know, increasing because you already have something that normally you would need to pay for, including the squadron with grid keyword in your with Intel keyword in your list. So those will be, you know, the beneficiaries of that situation, definitely. Of course, depends if the grid will be decisive. I mean, of course, the pace of the Squadron game might just totally change throughout the game, throughout those new, just due to those new changes, and, you know, it will be, of course, it will be similar to how it's been, like, you know, just to kill all the opponent ships, and, you know, the remaining ships, I mean remaining squadrons, sorry, of yours, will be able to make some punch against ships or do anything. So actually interesting, you might be just forced to to finish the squadron fight, to lead it to the till the end, and then just if you will still have enough firepower, just to attack the ships. It would be climatic. I mean, it's something that that is rather climatic. Like if you will take a look at the Star Wars, this is something that this decision has very good feeling in this those in this criteria, let's say. But for the Armada, it would be a big change, definitely. Then potential gainers, what we have is that we have the medium squadron builds, medium squadron balls. So the legendary medium squad ball, that was something that usually was ignored with the Intel, and that's why they were not that playable. But now you will not be able to ignore them, because if they will engage you, then you will just need to kill them before you will start to do anything else with your squads. So as I was saying, the whole game will change completely, and that's very interesting to see. Maybe A-Wings will be back for sure. Taika and Shara. Taika, because of his ability, he will be the only squad that is able to actually move while engaged. Shara, because if you'll engage the opponent's ships, it would mean that of course the squadrons of the opponent, then he will be forced to attack you possibly, and just receive those brutal counters free before the Shara will get killed. So definitely A-Wings might be the beneficiaries of it. Possibly the interceptors on the Empire side. It's very likely that they will be a bit playable, also due to the different things, but I will mention about it a bit later. Now I will try to focus on this. This Intel change will just make the big difference, because you will no longer be able to attack from the spot in which are you placed currently if you will be engaged, because if you will have grid, okay, you will be able to move out and attack, for example, the different hull zone of the enemy ship. If your opponent will use the screen, the fighter screen pretty decently, it would mean that you need to move and attack the other side of the ship, or you just would need to kill that squadron before you will start to attack the ships. So interesting change, as I was saying. Interceptors might be so A-Wings plus interceptors might be the ideal example of the beneficiaries here. Other things, possibly Admiral Shirano will be back in the game. I ain't seen him for a while. With Moralo builds, maybe a bit, but he was not that popular. He's pretty expensive, but nowadays it might be the only option for the Imperial squads to move. So possibly it will be one of the upgrades that will be back, like Adar Talon did with. Sorry, not the Adar Talon, Valex Blissix did after the release of Starhawk. So good to see that, very interesting to see. Then what we have is squads with cloak, plus of course the wedge officer, because it's granting cloak. So like Kanan might be a bit more valuable right now. Definitely Phantoms might be receiving some benefits from it. Possibly some new squadrons will have cloak as well, so it would be good to see this mechanic to just actually be very useful right now. Okay, so that's it for the gainers for now. Of course, there might be just looking at the wider perspective, it might be the case that it will be much more the gainers than shown here. Some of them might be just not pretty accurate statements according to how the game will change. But speaking of only that one when that only one point, which is the intel change, this is what might be back in the game, or might see just some additional appearance among the tables. Okay, so potential losers on the intel change. So first of all, squads with heavy. Why? Because of the same situation as the squads with grit. Squads with heavy, because before intel was just granting you heavy. Now if you already have it, before it was like, okay, my opponent might have got that that intel in his, most likely he has the intel among his squads, so I don't really care if my squads are already heavy, because they can be if he will engage me properly. Now it's not possible to grant heavy to the other, to the opponent's ships, to the opponent's squads. Sorry. So definitely the squads that already have that keyword are automatically losing a lot. Maybe not a lot, but they are just it's actually it's something that can be downgrading the value of your squadron. Then the bomber builds. So basically, bomber builds usually have heavy keyword, but not all of them. But in general, the bomber builds like Y-wings and the bombers, because they are not powerful against they might not be good enough against the opponent's squadrons, because they are having like one black die or two blue dice in case of Y-wings, or like Skirks, for example, when you're paying 16 points for the squadron that has only two blue dice against squadrons. This is the this is something important, because you might need the squadrons that are just good at dealing with squadrons, at killing the squadrons, because of course bombers usually have the ruthless strategies, but it might not be enough. With intel you were able just to alpha strike some ship, for example, or just your kind of attack on the opponent's ships was possible at least once when your intel comes in, but now it won't be possible when you will become engaged. So it would be definitely something that will hurt the bomber builds, even despite they are cheap and most likely in most of the cases with ruthless strategists. Okay, moving on. Of course, one of the potential losers would be the intels itself, because the generic intels, there is no reason to put them on the table anymore. I just pointed out here that Jen Ors might be the one that is not losing that much, because she's just especially in the light of that Aces change, about which I will speak in a minute. Her ability to share the defense tokens is pretty powerful, and she can stay a bit behind the line of the first line of the battle, support the friendly squadrons with grit, and also with her ability sharing the tokens, so she might not be losing much on it. Definitely she would be the best out of the intels. There is still Dengar, who is adding the counter to your squadrons, but with the limited Aces capacity, I don't think that Dengar will be played regularly, even due to his ability. So I would not say that he will be still popular, but definitely the generic ones will suffer a lot on this. Okay, and the last example of the potential loser is just a single squadron, but very popular, possibly one of the best squadrons in the game at this moment. So Mauler Mythal. because he now will be able only to to trigger his ability once. He usually was triggering it once anyway, but for example in the dual ship builds where the opponent was just first lasting you, the Mauler was pretty important, because when you were going with Mauler and then with Intel in the next round and then Mauler again, he was able to use the splash twice. But nowadays he will be just making one big strike into he will just throw himself in towards the enemy squadrons, but he will engage all of them, so most likely even with the other squadron support he will not be able to kill them fast enough just to use even with grid to use that ability once again. So potentially he would be one of the biggest losers. Of course, for his cost, so for I believe 15 points, he would be still very good. So it's not changing that much, as I was saying. In most of the builds, in most of the situations, he was just triggering it twice, but now he might be a bit out and make some plays among the aces for some other squadrons. So very interesting to see that. Everything will change with that. I would love to see how it's gonna go. It will be, hopefully it will be released pretty soon, so we will be able to see how it changes the game. Of course, when we will know the other details of those Armada 1.5, let's call it like this. Yeah, so good to see some changes like that. Definitely it would make the Armada more interesting. It would be a challenge for the old players, I would say, because they will be just able to find some new solutions. That would be something good that would make the game even more interesting than it is right now at its current stage. Okay, so the last thing that I would like to discuss today is the change of aces capacity. So we already know that there will be a limit, one ace per every 100 points, which means that for the tournament, the classic standard format for 100 points, you will be able just to put 4 aces with the defense tokens. So how it's going to affect? Because of course it's pretty clear how it will work, what it will do. However, I just wanted to take a look at the current the strongest builds currently and how they will be affected with that change. So I get the 3 examples of the Rebel squadron components, the popular ones, and the popular Imperial squadron components on the other end, just to see if they would be affected by that limit. And definitely, if we will take a look at Rebels, of course I pointed out here on the table that the green ones are the ones that will not be affected. The red ones, of course, will be the ones that would need some kind of replacements, let's say. So we have the green ones for the Rebels, which is the classic aces, so most likely just the Yavaris builds. Of course, there are some rumors that the Yavaris will be nerfed again. Hard to say at this moment. I am just considering that it will be not changed. Even though the classic aces, it's something that still might be seen on the table, even if something will happen to the Yavaris. So the classic aces is, if you will take a look at those Yavaris builds, it's usually like, focusing on, you are having like Dutch Wedge, Janors, 10 Nump, and the rest was, for example, Gold Squadron, which is not counting the Dagger Squadron, some X-Wings, VCXs, some YT 1300s, and you were not able to put many aces there. So as I'm saying, those 4 aces were just pretty much in every iteration of the Avaris builds. As I was saying, it was mostly Gen, 10 numb, sometimes Nim, but not always Wedge. Sometimes not. Sometimes big. Bigs, of course. But it shouldn't be triggered that much. Of course, some of them will not be possible, but the most popular ones, the strongest ones, are just likely to remain in the same form. The other component example is the squad component example is the rogue aces. Not the one that is most popular. I mean, people are playing it occasionally, but it's surprising to me because I'm playing the rogue aces for a long time right now, because actually I believe they are the best solution for rebels in today's meta. But as I said, surprisingly, they are not appearing that much on the table internationally, I would say. So, but as I was saying, I consider them as a very strong option right now for rebels, possibly even the best, to be honest. Of course, despite the position in which the rebellion is right now, because the Imperials are just winning most of the tournaments mostly with the classic squadron components. So but anyway, if we're speaking about rebels, then rogue aces under Riken especially, they are one of the best options right now, and are pretty well placed on the tournaments, especially here in Europe. So rogue aces will suffer a bit on this new limit, because they used to such squadron balls were usually focused on just 6 aces, and that was it. Right now it won't be possible. You would need to find some kind of replacement for that, like 4 of those rogue aces plus possibly some kind of rogues, most likely YT 2400s. Maybe the rogue squadron will be back in the game. I mean, if you're playing Riken, it's a good choice because you can keep him with the ability. So definitely he might see some play. The gold squadron will be one of the options, despite he's not rogue, but maybe with Hera, or maybe just to be activated by some flotilla. It might be just a good decision and good thing to have. So definitely a rogue aces would need to change a bit, but it won't be a big problem, I would say. I was testing some options, and it's not the big deal. It's changing, most likely the best component that was possible. So I would say that Dutch Wedge, Hera, Ketsu, Lando, and Dash. I used to consider this one as the strongest option for the rogue aces right now. This one will no longer be possible. It's sad, from the perspective of fluff, from the perspective of the climate. It's not a good change, because you could have got, only the aces, in your fleet, like it's been in the, in many books or comics, or anything like this, or movies. Anyway, it was possible, but just for the sake of Armada, just to improve the game, it might be the good decision, especially just to bring some generics back to play. I was about to say that bomber lists, so the roofless bomber lists were after this aces limit was announced. I was thinking like, okay, so that would be the resurrection of the bomber list, but the Intel change ruined everything, and it would no longer be an option. I mean, this is just my guess. I don't know if it will be like that. Maybe the roofless will be the popular one, and they're still working pretty decently. But at this stage, especially after the aces, being limited to 4, it would be better to just took the squadrons that are actually having some punch against the other squadrons. Like YT-2400s, for example, that are below. So yes, YT-2400's swarm is the next example of the one of the strongest squad builds at the moment. It won't be affected in any way. Usually you are having only the Gen Ors as the single ace in that component. You were having like 6 or 7 of them in the list, so it won't be triggered at all. Okay, so let's move on to Imperial examples. The classic aces for Sloan or Throne builds, like duels, etc., or the Sloan MSU. Those ones will not remain in the game because of course the whole change that is about to happen. So classic aces are no longer. You'll need to find some replacements, possibly the interceptors with Whole Runner, Marek Gendon. It would still be working pretty good because of those reserve hangar decks. There will be a lot of combos, as I was mentioning before. Those interceptors in the Armada 1.5 without intel, it might be something good. It might be a good solution because of the counter, because of the fact that they can be just resurrected after they are dead. So possibly Sloan will evolve in that way. This is one of the possibilities, but there will be no more all aces lists. Then the other archetype, I just put it here because I wanted to have 3 on both sides, but when Imperials are playing with squadrons, they are usually playing aces. There is not a lot of swarms on the tables recently, so I wanted to find something. I forced myself to find something, and I decided to put the Phantoms here because when they are not that they are pretty rare. However, if someone was playing it, usually it was he was achieving good results. So because this is a good the good tool for the Sloan dual ship builds, which were they were very popular in Europe. I believe the US always preferred Throne. However, the Phantoms are working with Sloan very well because of those 2 dice. So this is one of the propositions here, and they will definitely be legal after that change because they are generics mostly, so you'll most likely still have like Reimer, I would say, Phantoms, and Marek Gendon, and possibly some addition, but definitely they can be playable after all. And the last example is the Moralo builds. Of course, Moralo builds are based on lambdas as well, because you need to move those tokens in some way. Therefore, it will remain in the meta with possibly some cosmetic changes, but it would be still Marek, Gendon, Morale, and then something else, and some lambdas, some other additions. Saber Squadron will most likely remain in all those among those all squadron components on the Imperial side, because it's not taking the spot of the ace in your new fleets. So this is it. This is what I wanted to discuss. Of course, when we know all those new keywords and the other additions, that Intel change, that grid being popularized, it's good to see that Armada is just still being improved by the developers, by designers. Many good players are testing it, so I believe they are just having some interesting points on many problems that might be ongoing in Armada, but the game is pretty well balanced. So as you can see, those are just some minor changes. Of course, they will change the game, but it won't be causing that it will be totally different game. So this is why I don't like to say about Armada 1.5, because it would be still the same game with some new mechanics, with some new additions, so just like the new releases. I believe that for example, with those new keywords on squadrons, we most likely will have some generic upgrades. I mean the neutral upgrades that you can put on the old ships, so of the rebel and imperial ships, and just to grant your squadrons some of those new keywords. For example, when the Starhawk was coming out, then local fire control is the upgrade that came out with it, just to provide the possibility of salvo to already existing ships. So possibly this is what will be happening here. So I believe that the old factions will be adapted to the game pretty well, and we'll see some just fine new lists, some new archetypes possibly, and the game will be even more interesting than it is right now. It's in a good spot. 4 factions, it's really something big. We were waiting for this for a long time, not only because of the fluff, because I believe many players just love Clone Wars, but just to have the additional factions, just to make some put some impact on Armada right now with those new factions. There will be many variations. I would love to see. I can't wait to see that, and hopefully we will be able to test all those lists on many different tournaments when this madness all around the world will finish. So yeah, hopefully it will be possible soon. Hopefully we will get those expansions at the end of the year, and we'll learn about the new things coming out in Armada. We can only wait, but I believe it would be worth to wait for it. So stay tuned, guys. Also stay tuned, because the next episodes of our podcast will be definitely released this year. I will try with different forms, not only the one with videos, possibly the other forms. Everything would be on YouTube. However, sometimes it might be without just the video. It might be just the audio for just to be listened, just for listening, and then possibly some discussion with other players. I would love to have here my friends from the Team Poland of Armada. Possibly we'll discuss something when the Clone Wars will came out, or we'll try to provide different stuff here to provide some content, some various content. For example, if you're having any questions about the game, about anything connected to the game, about any lists, rules, anything like this, you can just ask in the comments. You can ask on Facebook. You can drop me a private message. I would like to spare some time in the upcoming episodes just to respond to the questions, to discuss something that you would like to know, just to share my point of view on this. I would like to do that. So hopefully if you will have any questions, then just you'll be able to reach out to me, and we'll be running that in the future. So thank you for watching this first episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you will enjoy the future content. I also have hope that I will be able to provide as much as it is possible. So yeah, just please subscribe our channel. You can follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, on our Facebook page. You can follow me on Instagram under the Black Admiral profile, because there is a lot of mostly Armada content here. Yeah, and well, stay tuned, and thank you for watching. So see you guys.